Hello, welcome back to another video tutorial here at GeekatPlay Studios. My name is Gary Miller. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a distressed food label, or better yet, just a distressed texture in Photoshop that you can apply to a food label, or you can apply to many other models, such as a wall. So if you want to create a distressed wood texture, distressed stucco, rock, brick texture. This technique will work very well if you want to achieve a chipped or distressed paint look. Well, in this example, I've got a little can of beans here. Nothing earth-shattering, but if you notice the texture, it looks like the paper label around the object has received a lot of abuse over its short lifespan. Spin around over here. I mean, it's a convincing look. They got a lot of tears in the paper label, and that's what we're going to create in Photoshop. So here is my document, and now I'm working on several labels at a time, so I've got a lot of extra layers here. But to achieve this effect, I start off with a metal image, just a picture of some rusted old metal. On top of that, I placed my food label and in this example I created this one in Adobe Illustrator, and then on top of that I duplicated my metal layer and laid it over the top. I could have used a different one, but I just used the same one. Now I'm going to hide the food label that I currently have, and we're going to start off with a fresh one and run through the manual steps to distress it. So let's open this one up with Photoshop. I'm going to take this label, select it, and drag it into my working document here. And now I'm just going to position it onto my canvas. There we are. And I want it above my bottom metal image. So I got my metal, I've got my label, and way up here I've got my other metal, but we're not working on that for now. Okay, so here is my food label. I'm going to come right down here and I'm going to select layer mask. Now I want to run a cloud filter on this, but I don't need the cloud filter to affect the entire image, only the food label. So I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm just going to draw a selection around the label like that. Now with my foreground and background colors set to the default black and white, come up here to filter and render, and I'm going to hit clouds. Then I'm going to come back to filter, render, and different clouds, and I'm going to hit Control F one or two times. Now on my layer mask, I'm going to run a level adjustments, and one of the things that's nice about layer masks is you can do virtually everything, even on a layer mask, that you can on a regular layer. I don't know of any limitations that it might possibly possess. So with my layer mask selected, I'm going to come up here to Image, Adjustments, and bring up levels. Now what I want to do is I want to bring my highlight brightness slider all the way in. Let me cancel out of this. I want to zoom in here so I can better see what it is that I'm doing. So come back up to Image, Adjustments, Levels, and now let's bring that in. And now I'll bring in the darkness slider, and notice the more I bring the darkness slider or the shadow slider and the highlight slider, the closer they meet, the crisper the edge or the chip or the tear is in my food label. Well, at this setting there's not enough food label. I'm masking too much of it out, so I'm going to bring it back, and then I'll bring the white one in. I want more of my food label, so I'll just bring the dark one down a little bit more. Okay, I want a little bit of feathering, so I don't want to bring them too close together. Alright, I'm happy with that. hit OK. Let's back out and let's see what we've got. Okay, it looks as though I have used a brush and add a lot of grunge and distressing to this. Let me hit Control D to deselect that layer marquee selection I made. It looks like I've really ruined my image here. In reality, I haven't done anything to it because I will shift and click on my layer mask, and there is my food label perfectly intact. This is a non-destructive way of modifying your images so that in a month from now and a year from now, if you have saved this, you can come back and make whatever adjustments to it you want, and you don't have to re-import your original artwork because of any destruction that you have created on it here in this file. So shift click it back on, and you got a nice look to this. It looks really distressed, fairly convincing. But let's go take it a little bit further. I'm going to double click on this. I'm going to select drop shadow. Let me bring this over here so it's visible. Select my drop shadow. I want to bring the highlight, the opacity of it down to about maybe 50 or so. I'm going to decrease the distance of it, decrease the size of it. Let's bring the opacity back up, and it kind of makes it a little bit crisper, a crisper little tear. Let's play with the distance. Oop, might be a little bit too much. 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that's a little bit too much. Let's bring our opacity back down. See if we make the shadow color a little bit lighter. That's black. Now one of the things that's nice, I'm going to go with that setting. One of the things that's nice about when I was using the adjustment level adjustment is I feathered the edge. And if you look at the edges of this, especially you see it on the lighter areas, it looks like torn paper versus down here where it's sharp and a little bit more crisp. You don't see that torn look to it, but you do see it here in the lighter part of my texture. Alright, I'm happy with that. Click OK, and there is our distressed, ripped up, torn, and weather beaten label. Now I do have a metal layer on top of that, so let me enable that, and that's really not the effect I was looking for. So I'm going to come up here to my blending mode and set it to multiply, and now I've got a really good looking weather beaten stained texture that works well for a food label. Now also for this method of creating a distressed texture, I think I may have mentioned it at the beginning of the tutorial, it works really well if you want to create a chipped paint sort of texture that you would apply over wood, brick, stucco, stone, whatever. So this is a really good non-destructive way of creating a distressed material right here in Photoshop, and you can come back to this in a month, a year from now, and continue making changes to it without having to re-import your original artwork because nothing's been damaged. So that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching here at GeekatPlay Studios. My name's Gary Miller. Have a good day.